I think primarily it's for me that the bottom line doesn't have to be quite so doesn't have to be remove the ideas of social concepts, basically, that you can do well and do good, and that's and I think that's part of a very progressive, interesting business movement. I think that it's going to. I think it already is catching fire, and I think it's going to continue to catch fire. I think it's something that a lot of people feel is going to become a much more important part of the realities of business. That
would you say that this is something that has caught on globally, or is it something that's easy to catch on in a developing context because social challenges are just so much more prevalent in those particular contexts?
I think it's something that can happen globally. I think it is true that places where it is absolutely necessary, like anything else, you know, when something is completely necessary, where a change is necessary, where the gap between rich and poor is becoming so large that that it becomes sort of untenable, and a new way of thinking has to be introduced in terms of what the responsibilities are for businesses, and so. Engaging with that and encouraging that is going to be a very important part of the developing world. I think it's going forward. It's going to be a part of the world, full stop. But actually, there are places that have always embraced some of the ideas of that the disparity cannot continue indefinitely. So I feel that this happening now. I think it's an idea that's sort of past due in a way. I think its time has already been. And so it's good that it is actually being engaged with in the way that it is. I think people are excited about it. I think they recognize that it's the only real way forward, you know.
And is the money following the ideas? Because one would think there's an appetite for entrepreneurs, but is the appetite equally matched for social entrepreneurship ventures when it comes to funding and financing these ideas?
I think that all of these things remain to be seen, essentially, but I think that as long as, I think there is such a great sort of, in a sense, there's a great business model that can exist where you can promote the ideas of your business doing this as well, that you have a social entrepreneurship. So, and as a kind of a sort of PR entity, that's amazingly valuable. You know, I think that the days of a kind of slightly cynical bottom line ideology are hurting businesses, you know, and so so moving forward, I think people will be increasingly engaged with the ideas of the sort of social realism of like I say, you know, doing well and doing good.
And just as a final question, there seems to be a stronger resonance for social entrepreneurship with the younger generation. Is this maybe a reflection of just the way we feel about just purely profit-driven ventures up to now, that we're saying, actually, we want to be a part of the change that we want to see in our communities? Why young people? Why are we so attracted to social entrepreneurs?
I think people increasingly become frustrated with the status quo. I think that that the disparities that exist can't exist forever. I think we're in a world of great challenges. We're challenged with hunger, we're challenged with poverty, we're challenged with gender equality, we're challenged with climate change, we're challenged with these things that in the future are going to become more and more important to deal with. And I think the younger generations are, of course, realizing that that we're going to have to engage with that. We also, younger generations also want to do well, want to do well in business, want to be successful. And success is going to be increasingly defined by matching those challenges as well. And that, I guess, in the end, is what winning the right way means as a campaign slogan.